watching Power Nation. Today on Carcass, it's a hunt for horsepower. We head out to a local salvage yard in search of a specific intake that can handle our pursuit of power.
Then we head back to the shop to start assembling our turbo system, strap it to the dyno, and see how much we gain.
Hey guys, welcome to Carcass. Now our little Honda rally car sure is starting to take shape, and we've gotten a lot done so far. We've managed to tear out the entire interior, add a custom roll cage with some racing seats. We stripped the entire car down and added a custom paint job, and we also stripped the motor out, added a new clutch, and did some maintenance issues.
And as you can see, we're not in the shop today because we're looking for some very specific parts to go along with the turbo kit we're going to install on the Honda. So we're out here at Express Pull and Save, where Hondas are plentiful and the parts are cheap.
And looks like we're going towards the imports on this one.
Yeah.
I think the imports are down and around this corner somewhere. Now what we're looking for is an intake manifold off of a specific Honda Civic. Now there were a couple different engine options in these cars. Jimmy and I just have to find out which car has it. Oh, no, I'm going this way.
I'll keep finishing this row. All right, here's one Honda engine, and I already know it's not the one we're looking for. It's very similar to the one that we have because the intake manifold right here, and also a surefire way to tell is the number stamped on the front of the engine block. This is a D16Y7. The one that we're looking for is a D16Y8. They're both very similar in that they're both single overhead cam, but the D16Y8 is a VTEC motor, has a different intake manifold, and makes more horsepower. So I just got to keep looking.
Here's a little Honda Civic right here, and it seems basically all put together. It actually does have an intake manifold that we could use, but this is a D16Y5. It does share the exact same intake manifold as the Y8, except it has a provision for an EGR valve. Now we'd have to block this off, and that's just a little extra work, so we might as well just keep searching for that Y8 manifold.
Got another one here. Oh, somebody took pretty much the whole top end out of it. It is a Y8 though.
What'd you come up with? Did you find something?
Yeah, this is the motor we're looking for, but somebody picked all the parts out of it already.
But it is a Y8.
Yeah.
Should probably look around to see if anything's laying on the ground. And look at this. Right here, Jimmy. Somebody pulled the head off of this, and it's got the intake on it still.
Awesome.
I don't know what they were searching for, but they left it all here.
It's funny because, like, I can't tell you how many times I've been to a salvage yard and found stuff like in the back seat or like in the trunk. Maybe someone was saving it, but on the ground is just as good, so.
Yeah, just laying around.
Oh, actually, I'll take this dipstick too because you broke ours, so.
Right. Well, we'll just get the intake off of this head because we only need the intake, and then we'll get out of here and get back to the shop. All right, well, we only need the intake and the throttle body, so I'm gonna get rid of these injectors and this fuel rail. Then we can get back to the shop. Rail off of here, grab my tools, and we're out of here. Ready to go back to the shop?
All right, that's the last piece of our turbo setup, I think.
Yeah, we can go back there and set the motor in and get to work on that turbo. Well, we had some pretty good luck at the junkyard finding exactly what we needed, and Jimmy's got that new intake over in the parts washer and he's cleaning it up. So I got to get this one off of here so we can slap the new one on. We'll spend some time making sure we clean all the old gasket material off before we put the new gasket on.
All right, it's all cleaned up.
Perfect. Let's get that put on here. We'll get this all buttoned up before we get this motor back in the Honda.
All right, I'll grab the alternator too.
Sounds good. After we snug these all up, we'll torque them down to 17 foot-pounds.
Before we put the engine back in the car, we're gonna replace one of the harder to get to parts near the bottom of the engine. So we got this 100% brand new Duralast Gold alternator that we picked up from AutoZone. Duralast Gold alternators are engineered to deliver power that meets or exceeds the original equipment on your vehicle. Every unit is 100% new and made with proprietary components and processes to ensure maximum life and performance. Every unit is even triple tested to ensure the highest quality and provide the output to power today's vehicles. I'm leaving this a little loose for now so we can put a belt on it later, but otherwise, we just gotta throw the transmission on this and get it in the car.
Don't go away. We start boosting our little 4-cylinder, looking for some big power.
We've made a lot of progress on our Honda. We got the engine and transmission back in it with the new intake manifold on it, and we have the harness all plugged back in. So now is the time we can start adding everything to make more power.
And the way we plan on almost doubling our horsepower in our little Civic is by adding a turbo kit. Now we picked this one up from CX Racing, and the heart of this whole setup is right here at the turbo. The turbo has a 50mm compressor wheel, a 63mm turbine wheel, and a T3 flange. We also picked up their fully fabricated exhaust manifold. We have the blow-off valve and a wastegate. We also got the intercooler and all of the charge piping, and we opted for their radiator and a cooling fan. Now this kit will make up to 350 horsepower. All we're looking to do is get a little over the 200 mark. So we got to get this thing installed, and that all starts right here with the manifold. Jimmy, can you hand me the turbo? I think you got it coming from that side. Yeah.
Where's that gasket?
Oh, I got it. There's actually quite a bit of room in the engine bay. It's just kind of hard to weasel everything around. If you can hold that right there. I'll try to get a bolt started here.
Got one?
Yeah, I got one in there. That should hold it in place for now until we get a little further along here.
Yeah.
All right.
So the intercooler is going to go somewhere between the bumper and the radiator support. So we got to take the bumper off, and that way we can figure out where all the turbo piping goes. Okay, so basically we just want to mount the intercooler kind of centered between the two sides of the radiator support. And it's probably best to mount this first just so we can adapt the tubes to meet these inlet and outlets. And then we'll just make some L brackets and actually weld them to this part of the radiator support here. So off to the plasma table. The brackets are pretty simple. We'll just cut a slot for a little bit of adjustability and then add 2 holes so we can rosette weld them to the radiator support, and then a 90-degree bend to finish it off. We'll grind off where we're going to weld and then tack it in place.
Now that Jimmy has the intercooler mocked up, it's time to move on to the charge side of our turbo system. Now we do have one piece of pipe that fits here. That's up here on the intake and lands down here on the inner fender. Now this pipe is perfect because it gets us out of the way of our radiator and it starts heading us in the direction to get to our intercooler. Now there is some sheet metal in the way, so I gotta drill a hole. Let's start with this pipe first. We'll just snug this up for now. Let's see how this all kind of fits in here, maybe. That one up there. That'll kind of work.
Okay, so probably to just shorten this section.
Right.
And then we'll actually just weld this as one piece.
Yeah, we'll get rid of the coupler. We can just weld it together there.
Okay.
Cool. You take care of that.
Kind of got an idea of what to do. All right, let's see. Put this guy on. Twist this around. Make sure everything's lined up and mark it. Once we have it marked, we'll head over to the welding table and TIG it up. All right, let's check this thing for the last time. Yeah, I'd call that a win. Now I just got to do the other side.
While Jimmy's working on the other side of the intercooler, I'm gonna take care of one more plumbing issue, and that's the oil side of the turbo. There. Then, get this down here on the oil pan we already welded in AN fitting when we had the motor out. So all we gotta do is just connect this hose, and that's the return side of the turbo. For the pressure side, we'll tee off the pressure port that is shared with the oil pressure sending unit. We'll run it up to the front of the car and hook it up to the turbo. How does that fit?
Really good. Yeah, nothing too crazy. A little modification here and there, but
Cool.
yeah.
So we got just the blow-off valve to work with and the wastegate, but I'm sure they fit just fine. A couple more things to button up, but I think next we should probably tackle the fuel system.
Yeah, easy enough. Coming up, we added boost, so now we have to add more fuel. We've got most of the turbo stuff wrapped up on the front end of the car, but a really important piece of this equation is providing the engine with enough fuel at the right pressure. The OE fuel pump is fine if you're not doing anything too crazy, but we're gonna upgrade it. Let that drain for a second. To upgrade the fuel pump, we went to Holley Performance and picked up this 255 liter per hour pump. This thing has the overall same dimensions as our OE pump, so it's as easy as just taking this one out, putting this one in. Since we already replaced the fuel pump once to get our Honda running, everything came apart pretty easy. So all I have to do is disconnect a couple hoses, install the new pump, and plug in the connector. All right, that's as easy as that needs to be, and that's all we got to do in the back of the car.
With Jimmy taking care of the fuel system in the back of the car, I'm gonna handle it underneath the hood. Now, anytime you add more air to your engine, like with a turbocharger or a supercharger, you have to have a way to add more fuel to the car. So we're gonna be adding a set of bigger injectors. Well, what we did is got a hold of Jason Waters Tuning, and the guy's practically a guru at tuning Hondas. So we told him what turbo we're running, how much boost we're adding, and what type of horsepower we're looking for. And he set us up with a set of 500cc injectors. So what I'm gonna do is switch these out for the ones that are in the car right now, and then we're gonna move on to a way to control these things. Fuel rail back. Get in there, O-ring. There we go. So now I'll just add these little seals or gaskets down here in the intake. These will help seal the bottom side of the injector. And then we can put the injectors in. All right, so with these injectors comes a jumper harness. So we gotta just plug them into both sides, the injectors and into the Honda side of the connections. Then we'll move on to how we're gonna control these things. Now, to help us control our fuel system and the engine, Jason Waters also sent us an ECU with this little Hondata S300 module installed. Now, that little module right there vastly expands the tunability of our ECU, especially now that we're applying boost to the engine. This install is pretty easy. All we gotta do is unplug the old one, use this little jumper harness, and then we'll just plug the new one in. This will work right now, just sitting on the floor. When we start wrapping up the interior, we'll find a permanent spot to mount that, but we'll take care of that a little bit later.
Along with our turbo kit, we also got this all aluminum radiator, and this thing is really nice because the stock fan and shroud bolt up right to it, so we don't have to do anything with wiring up a new fan, and the stock overflow tank will fit just fine. Then the top hose. One last thing we got to do is install the exhaust that we got with our kit, and we went ahead and wrapped this with DEI's titanium exhaust wrap. And while we were at it, we picked up a new titanium turbo shield, and this is going to help us control temps under the hood. So once we get this on, we could head down to the dyno.
With our upgrades ready, we get a little help tuning our boosted four-banger. All right, guys, we're down in engine power, and we have our little Honda Civic strapped down to the dyno, and we have Jason Waters and Chip Myers in from Jason Waters Tuning. Now, if you guys remember, they're the ones that sent us the ECU and the injectors for our little Honda turbo setup, and they're here today to help us pull some horsepower.
And these guys have already set up the initial timing and put a bass tune in it. So guys, what is there left to do?
Everything's set up, dyno's ready to roll. Nothing left but just to tune it.
All right, let's hit it.
Good.
All right, guys, car's warmed up, and get ready to do the first pull and see where we're at.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know how to read it, but what's it read?
159 and 158 pound-feet.
What? 159 horse?
Yeah.
That's 60 horse, 60 horse?
Yeah. Just on the first pull.
Holy cow.
That's awesome.
Good start for sure.
Yeah, how much do you think you'll be able to get out of it?
I mean, it's still a little rich.
Yeah.
You know, it's on 6 pounds of boost, so realistically, what it made 90 horsepower, 85, 90 horsepower stock.
93 was the best one we had.
Yeah, so it'll make a little more. You know, then we also have the boost controller, so we can turn it up a little bit more. Really, you know, depends on what you want to see out of it.
What's comfortable horsepower number for like the stock motor? Like we didn't do anything.
Yeah, ideally, I like to keep most of these in and around 200 horsepower or less.
Okay.
Some of the motors will, you know, if as long as the customer doesn't care about, you know, the possibility of something happening to it, we'll go to 220, 230. But
Wow.
you know, 200 horsepower is kind of a good point for a stock single cam.
That'd be huge.
Well, to
Yeah.
double it in such a light car, like,
Right.
Go from 85 to, you know, 200 horsepower is a huge jump for something like this. So
Yeah, it doesn't weigh nothing. And you do that all with tuning, right? Or the wastegate?
the wastegates was going to regulate the boost, but we have a 3-port solenoid plumbed in and wired to the ECU, and the ECU has the PWM components to control that. So basically, we're going to pulse the boost controller to add more boost on top of the wastegate spring.
Cool. It sounds amazing too. It's a little smelly, but it sounds amazing. Are you changing stuff or?
Taking a little feel out of it up top. It's still a bit rich, like 5,500, 6,000 and up. Just kind of building the fuel map around what the car wants. So, all right, base pull, 159 horsepower. Got some adjustments in, and upload these changes, and then go ahead and do another pull and see where we're at.
Every time that gets me.
173, 159.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much it's about tapped out fuel and timing wise. So really turn the boost controller on, turn the boost up a little bit, and we should be good. So
How many pounds of boost are you reading?
it's between 5.5 and 6 pounds of boost.
Okay.
Wow.
Right up top, it's 5.7, 5.8.
That's amazing.
Yeah, making solid power for the boost level.
Yeah, like that's like pretty mild,
Yeah.
you know?
More boost time.
Yeah.
We're ready to go, ready to do another pull. So let's see where we're at.
All right, let's do it.
Come on, 200 horse.
203, 180.
203 horsepower.
That's awesome.
Dude, we broke the 200 horse mark. Is there anything else you think we're good, you guys? We got the 200 mark, so.
Should be good.
I think it's good, man. Like I said, you don't want to get too crazy with these stock motors. So, 200 horsepower is the goal. We hit it. So let's leave it there.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in. This is exactly what we were looking for, was about 200 horse, so we really, really appreciate it.
And if you guys like anything you've seen on today's show, go to PowerNationTV.com and be sure to check out our project pages where you can see more of this car, Project Junk Mail, and our square body tow truck. But let's get this thing off the dyno.
Yeah, we're done. Let's unstrap it, go have some fun.
Yeah, thanks guys. That's
we really do
awesome.
appreciate it. That's pretty amazing to pull 200 horse out of this, so pretty awesome.